To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is?
Right now, as I'm recording this, Donald Trump is in Ankara, Turkey, at the NATO summit, and it is going about as badly as it possibly could. Here's the backdrop you need. 3 weeks ago, the US and Iran signed something called the Islamabad Memorandum, a ceasefire deal to stop the war that has been going since Trump ordered strikes on Iran's nuclear program. It was shaky from day one. Overnight, before the summit even started, Iran hit commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The US hit back with strikes on Iranian military sites. Iran responded by firing on US bases in Bahrain and Kuwait. CENTCOM says as many as 85 targets. Oil prices spiked, so Trump lands in Ankara for a NATO summit that was already going to be tense. Allies furious, he dragged them into an Iran war without consulting them, and now he's landing in the middle of an active military escalation. That's the rumor. Reporters ask him directly, is the ceasefire dead? Watch what he says.
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
3 weeks. That's how long the Islamabad Memorandum lasted. 3 weeks. Trump signed this thing, called it historic, and 3 weeks later, he's sitting at the podium in Turkey saying it's a waste of time. And notice the language he reaches for. Again, cancer. Cut it out early. This isn't the first time you've heard him use that exact phrase. It's basically his go-to metaphor whenever he wants to justify aggression instead of diplomacy. The scary part isn't just that the deal collapsed, it's how fast. 21 days from signing to it's over, with strikes already flying in both directions overnight. Then he turns to Spain, and this isn't a one-off jab. Watch how far he takes it.
I didn't speak to Spain. Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please.
He's ordering his own Treasury Secretary, live on camera, to cut off trade with an entire country. Spanish bonds sold off within minutes of him saying this. The IBEX dropped over 1% in real time. Now, is Spain actually the lowest spending in NATO? Yes, that part is true. The numbers back him up. But calling them terrible people, hopeless, terrible partner, bad, over a budget percentage with an actual market consequences within 1 hour, that's not policy. That's a tantrum with a stock ticker attached. But this is not the end. Somehow we are back on Greenland again.
Because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
Telling a sovereign country their own territory doesn't matter to them, that's the line. Denmark's prime minister had to publicly respond that Greenland is not for sale, and that they'll defend every inch of it. Now, to be fair to Trump for 1 second, there is an actual strategic argument buried under all the bluster. Greenland hosts Pituffik Space Base, a real US military installation, and Arctic shipping routes are becoming genuinely more important as ice melts and Russia and China both increase their presence up there. So there is a real conversation to be had about Arctic security, but the argument that we shouldn't have given it back to a NATO ally, that's not a security strategy. That's a real estate complaint about the whole country. Here's the thing that happened behind the scenes before any of this. NATO knew Trump was arriving furious, so they tried to head it off. $50 billion in new arms deals announced right before he landed, specifically timed to make him happy. Rutte called it money well spent. They even brought back a chart nicknamed the Trump Trillion, showing 1.2 trillion in European defense spending since 2017, just to flatter him.
This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. Right. Trump 45 plus Trump 47. A total of extra spent by the Europeans and the Canadians of 1.2 trillion.
They handed him $50 billion in receipts, and he said it wasn't the point. What he actually wanted was troops in the Iran war they weren't consulted on. So here's where they actually leaves us. A ceasefire that lasted 3 weeks is now over, according to the man who signed it. A NATO ally just got threatened with a trade cutoff over a budget percentage. Another ally just got told their own territory doesn't matter to them. And the alliance spent $50 billion trying to keep the president in a good mood, and it didn't work. Is there still a path back to a real ceasefire with Iran, or are we watching the start of something a lot bigger? Let me know in the comments what you think happens next.